YouTube star and rapper DDG has millions of followers, chart-topping hits, and a life most people can only dream of. But behind the success lies a devastating tragedy that changed everything. The brutal murder of his twin brother that rocked Pontiac, Michigan, and left a family shattered, searching for justice that may never come.
This whole situation seems fake, but whoever murdered my brother, someone need to speak up, because I feel like that person didn't care. It was premeditated. They thought about it. I think that person should get life in prison.
This is the untold story of how one phone call on October 20th, 2014 could have claimed 2 lives instead of 1, and how the survivor turned his pain into platinum records.
RIP my brother. Yeah, I know when I got this one. Got me and him on the back. So, this Dub twin. But fun fact, me and him was way closer than me and Dub is now. Me and Dub used to really...
Pontiac, the city that shaped them. To understand this story, you have to understand Pontiac, Michigan. Once a thriving automotive city, by the 2010s, it had become a place where opportunity was scarce, but danger was everywhere.
It's dope, man. So you actually grew up in Pontiac, Michigan?
Yeah.
Okay.
Born and raised.
Pontiac isn't just any small city. It's a place where everyone knows everyone's business, where gossip travels faster than police sirens, and where sometimes knowing too much can get you killed.
It's a thing in Pontiac where it's barely police, to be real. It's a small city. If a case is it take longer than a month to solve, it's probably not gonna get solved. You know what I'm saying?
This is where DDG and his family will grow up together, dreaming of a better life, not knowing that one of them would never see his dreams come true. DDG, whose real name is Daryl Granberry Jr., was born into a household where survival meant sacrifice. His mother worked not 1, but 2 jobs to keep 5 children fed and housed.
My mom worked 2 jobs. A lot of stuff went on in my life that I don't really talk about. You know what I'm saying? Because it's personal or whatever, but it was rough growing up for sure.
But even in the struggle, there was love and there was hope. DDG would later become valedictorian of his high school class, proving that brilliance could bloom even in the hardest soil.
And you graduated valedictorian?
Yeah, I was valedictorian in high school.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, man.
I was nowhere near valedictorian.
Man, I was, bruh, I really was into school. I stay after school, do homework.
That's dope.
All this other shit, you know what I'm saying? I never took it as, oh, you smart in school, you lame. I never took it like that. I was the coolest motherfucker in school. You know what I'm saying?
But being smart wasn't enough to shield the family from the reality of their environment. In Pontiac, even good kids could find themselves in bad situations.
I think it's just a bunch of bull to get views, you ask me, because I put any amount of money on it.
Meet Darian Breckenridge and his twin brother, who the world knows as Dub Bridge. Born on the same day, these two shared everything, from a bedroom to dreams of a better life. DDG explaining the family dynamic.
Before my brother passed and all of that, me and y'all know him as Dub, me and Dejan, we wasn't really that cool just because we just used to fight all the time. You know how big brother, little brother, so he was my favorite brother.
While Dub and Darian were twins, DDG was their younger brother, the academic star who would become valedictorian, but who always looked up to his older brothers, especially Darian. DDG continues.
You know how as a younger sibling, you got a favorite brother or a favorite sister that you talk to about all this shit. So I used to talk to him about girl problems and all that other stuff. But
Darian, known to his family as Dino, loved gaming. His PlayStation username was Pontiac Made DDB, a name that would later become world famous, though none of them knew it at the time. What millions of fans don't realize is that every time they see Pontiac Made DDG, they're seeing a tribute to a fallen brother. A name that would later become famous was born from love, not knowing it will one day serve as a memorial.
You're kind of honoring him.
Yeah, but I didn't, not in a million years did I think I would lose my brother.
The signs they missed. As DDG focused on school and his future, he began noticing changes in his brother. Small things at first. Different friends, late nights, conversations that stopped when he walked into the room.
it's a lot of signs that I saw. You know what I'm saying? That's like my brother, he in some stuff that he shouldn't be into. But I never caught on. I'm so young, you know what I'm saying? I'm going out, I'm kicking it with girls and all this, playing basketball. My homies going to school.
At 16, DDG was living the life of any normal teenager. Basketball games, homework, hanging out with friends. He was too young, too innocent, too focused on his own path to realize his brother was walking down a dangerous road.
And I really didn't know that it was coming to that point where, you know what I'm saying, he might be in some trouble. You know what I'm saying? If I knew.
This is the burden that survivors carry, the weight of what if. What if he had been older? What if he had recognized the warning signs? What if he had said something? But on October 20th, 2014, there will be no more what ifs, only devastating reality. The night everything changed. October 20th, 2014 started like any other day for 16-year-old DDG. After school, he headed to the YMCA to play basketball with his friend Trey, the same Trey who would later become his producer and help create hits like Arguments.
The night that he lost his life, right? I was playing basketball with one of my homies, his name Trey. Actually, the dude that make my beats. He made Givenchy, he made Bang, his name Trey.
As the sun began to set over Pontiac, DDG's phone rang. It was Darian, his 21-year-old brother, offering what seemed like a simple brotherly gesture.
And my brother had called me. He was like, "You need me to pick you up," right? And I was like, "Nah, Trey gonna take me home."
A decision that took seconds to make. Stay and get a ride with his friend instead of his brother would haunt DDG forever. Because what he didn't know was that this would be the last conversation he'd ever have with Darian.
It's like, if he would have picked me up, that could have been me too. You know what I mean?
Oh, you could have gotten
Yeah,
shot.
I could have.
Oh, because it happened.
While DDG finished his basketball game and got his ride home with Trey, Darian was driving through the streets of Pontiac. He had no idea someone was waiting for him. Someone with deadly intentions.
It happened on Monday, October 20th of this year, between the hours of 10:30 and 11:30 at night. The murder took place in an area called The Nose.
According to police reports and CBS Detroit news coverage, at approximately on Linda Vista Drive in Valencia, gunshots shattered the quiet of a Pontiac evening. 21-year-old Darian Breckenridge of Pontiac was shot in the head and neck as he sat in the driver's seat of his car. A passenger in his car was also wounded, but survived. The attack was swift and brutal. Darian didn't stand a chance. As he sat behind the wheel, gunfire erupted, ending the life of a young man who had just been talking to his little brother about giving him a ride home. Miles away, DDG had no idea his world was about to collapse. He went to sleep that night thinking about homework, basketball, typical teenage concerns. He had no idea that while he slept, his family was about to receive the worst news of their lives. The call that changed everything. Imagine being woken up in the middle of the night, not by your alarm clock or a parent calling you for school, but your sister's tears and the worst news you could ever hear. At the same time, just minutes away, Darian's mother, Tanya Granberry, was experiencing every parent's worst nightmare. Tanya Granberry, Darian's mother, said that minutes before her son was killed, she was laughing with him in her home. When they called my phone, I looked out the window like, "No, he's home," Granberry said. But then I didn't see his car. But he had just left my room, and I can say it happened in maybe 5 minutes or less. Tanya had been laughing with her son just minutes before he was killed. The same son who had just offered to pick up his little brother from basketball practice. The same son who would never come home again. As dawn broke over Pontiac on October 21st, 2014, the investigation into Darian Breckenridge's murder began. Crime Stoppers of Michigan offered a $2,500 reward for information leading to an arrest.
There is a reward of $2,500 for information given to Crime Stoppers that results in the arrest of whoever was responsible for this terrible murder.
But in a city where witnesses often fear retaliation more than they trust justice, getting people to talk wouldn't be easy. And in Pontiac's understaffed police department, time was already working against them. What makes this case even more frustrating is that it's not a mystery. DDG and his family know who killed Darian. The police know who killed Darian. But knowing and proving in court are two very different things. When asked if the guy was charged,
No, not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah, not yet. So,
And it's been years.
yeah.
And there's no statute of limitations.
when asked if he knows who did it,
Man, that's tough. So you know who did it, but he's never been charged.
Yeah, something like that. But
the families fight for justice. Unlike many families who might be intimidated into silence, the Granberries refuse to let their son's murder be forgotten. DDG, despite his growing fame, has never been afraid to speak publicly about his brother's case. Years later, DDG and his family would take to social media, calling for justice and keeping Darian's memory alive, refusing to let his death become just another unsolved statistic.
Someone need to speak up because I feel like that person didn't care. It was premeditated. They thought about it. I think that person should get life in prison.
Their message was clear. We know who you are, we won't forget, and we won't stop fighting for justice. Coping with the unthinkable. The murder didn't just take Darian's life. It shattered his twin brother in ways that are still visible today. Dub Bridge, Darian's twin, struggled with a grief that few can understand. The loss of someone who shared not just your childhood, but your DNA. Dub has spoken openly about he had his son, partly to cope with missing his twin brother so much, a way to fill the void left by Darian's death, to have someone to love and protect in a way he couldn't protect his brother. In many ways, Dub's son represents hope for the family, a new life born from the ashes of tragedy, carrying forward the Granberry name and legacy. The transformation. For DDG, grief became a catalyst for change. The brother who had died could have easily pulled him into the same dangerous world that claimed Darian's life. Instead, it pushed him in the opposite direction.
Around this shit, selling drugs and guns and all that shit, it's just like, when that happened, it kind of deterred me away from it even more.
What started as a way to cope with grief quickly became something much bigger. DDG's authentic personality and raw talent began attracting millions of viewers who had no idea they were watching someone transform pain into purpose. From YouTube to music mogul. As DDG's YouTube following grew into the millions, he began channeling his experiences into music. His lyrics weren't just rhymes. They were therapy sessions set to beats, processing trauma in real time. His song 9 Lives will become one of his most personal and powerful tracks, directly addressing his brother's death and his own survival. By 2018, DDG had signed with Epic Records. The kid from Pontiac who lost his brother to violence was now a legitimate recording artist with millions of fans worldwide, honoring the fallen. Success didn't make DDG forget where he came from or who he lost. In fact, the bigger his platform became, the more intentional he was about honoring Darian's memory.
Actually, my nephew is named after my brother.
Oh, wow, okay. Yeah, your godnephew, right?
No, my actual
Oh, your nephew, okay.
Yeah, woo-wah.
The nephew who bears his uncle's name will never know the brother he's named after, but he'll grow up surrounded by love and opportunities that Darian never got to experience. Conclusion: 2 lives, 1 legacy. On October 20th, 2014, a gunman thought he was killing just one person, but he was wrong. He killed Darian Breckenridge, but he also created DDG the superstar, because sometimes the greatest tribute to a fallen brother is refusing to fall yourself. DDG's 2020 hit Moonwalking in Calabasas went platinum. His YouTube channels have billions of views. His name is known around the world, but none of that success will ever fill the void left by his brother's death. What it does do is prove that tragedy doesn't have to define you, that losing someone you love doesn't mean you have to lose yourself, and that sometimes the best way to honor the dead is to live so fully, so successfully, so loudly that their memory echoes through every achievement. Darian Breckenridge was 21 years old when he was murdered in Pontiac, Michigan. His case remains unsolved. His brother DDG continues to honor his memory through music, success, and by refusing to let his story be forgotten. Justice may be delayed, but legacy is forever.